In this video, we're going to look at the midpoint formula and use it to find the midpoint of a line segment with two endpoints. So here we have 2 points, and consider you have a line segment that joins these 2 points. What we're looking for is the middle point here. This is the midpoint. Let's call this M. Now, this first point on the left, we'll give that a name A, and that's x1, y1. And we'll give this one a name B, and call that x2, y2. Okay? So M is the midpoint of line segment AB. Right. So in order to do this, we know from geometry that if we consider the x-coordinate here, x1, and the x-coordinate here, x2, the x-coordinate of the midpoint is going to be right in the middle between x1 and x2. And so the x-coordinate of the midpoint is the average of x1 and x2. So it's x1 plus x2 divided by 2. And similarly, if we take this on the y-axis, first take the first point A on the y-axis, the coordinate here is y1, and then take the point B and take its coordinate on the y-axis, that coordinate is y2. So the middle point is right between y1 and y2, so again, that's going to be the average, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So the midpoint formula, M, is not a number, but it's a point. So it's a pair of numbers. The first coordinate is the average, x1 plus x2, of the x values. And the second one is the average, y1 plus y2 over 2, of the y values. Okay? So let's take an example. In this example, we're going to find the midpoint of the line segment joining the points 3, 8 and 0, 4. Okay? So I'm going to annotate these points as x1, y1, and then x2, y2. Let's make this a little bit larger. There we go. So this is x2, y2. Now, the midpoint formula needs the average of these two. So the midpoint M has the average of the x's, that's 3 plus 0 divided by 2, and the average of the y's, 8 plus 4 divided by 2. So therefore, the midpoint is 3 over 2, or 1.5, and 12 over 2, or 6. Now we have a picture of this from a previous problem we did together. So it's the same 2 points. So let me zoom in here, and let's consider 1.5, which is 3 over 2, which is right here, on the x-axis. That's 1.5, or 3 over 2. And 6, which is the average of the y's. So 1.5 and 6. So if I trace this up, we see here that is the midpoint. That's the midpoint M that is right between those two. So we call this first point A and the second point B. So the distance from A to M, what do you think it is? The distance from A to B is 5. M is right in the middle, so the distance from A to M is 2.5, half of that. And same thing, the distance from B to M is also 2.5. So the midpoint formula is really easy. It's just to remember, take the average of the x's and take the average of the y's, and it's a point, not a number, on the coordinate axis.